Hey everyone, it is Kerry with Trail Traveler, and today we are talking about Trails Off-Road. Yes, I realize most trails are actually off-road, but we're talking about the website and the app called Trails Off-Road, and it's what we use when we're out on trails. It's how we find trails. It's how we get the status of trails. We see user reviews of trails. There's a lot to Trails Off-Road, and we're going to go through it and try and create the definitive guide to how to use Trails Off-Road and make it work for you. So let's take a look at Trails Off-Road and see what it's all about. Now, I started using Trails Off-Road in October of 2019. And when I did, the only thing that existed was the website. And that's how we would find trails and know what they were about, see the reviews, see some pictures and all that, and then go out and run the trail and hopefully not get too lost. Then in 2021, they came out with iOS app, which was a huge benefit because then we could see where we are on the trail in real time. We could see the waypoints. We could see what's coming up next. Phenomenal tool for that. But let's take a look at the website first, and then later on we'll get into the mobile apps and we'll see how they work. So when you first bring up the website, you can search for trails. You can see some of the current trails in the area. It explains what the trail guides are, some reviews, where it's been featured, and the cost. There's a free account for $0, which is what free is, and you get about 206 trail guides that are out there. If you want full access or all access, it's $39.99 a year. Now, right below here, I'm going to put a discount code that's in the description, or you can just use your phone and scan the QR code that's right here on the screen, get 25% off. So, great way of getting started with Trails Off-Road. That gets you over 3,000 off-road guides, 2,000 scout routes, which are simple guides. They're not complete guides. They haven't been completely mapped out yet. Tools and resources, access to the person who wrote the trail guide, printable trail guides, downloadable GPX files, advanced searches, and some better map features. So for me, I think it's very, very cool. I've been paying full price since 2019. It has been well worth it for me to use it. And then any trails that I have said are some favorites, it shows them on the screen here. So the next step is let's go to our dashboard. I'll show you that a little bit. And it says, welcome back. In my garage, I have one vehicle. I've got our Jeep Wrangler. I can have multiple vehicles in there. So I could add our Subaru because we have taken the Subaru out on a few trails. And then I could see when I did a trail, what I did it in, and other people can see that. So trail reviews that I've done that are right here. Lists, we'll talk about lists. Those are combined. It's a list of trails that you put together and are able to share. So that's pretty cool there. Underneath here in your profile, you can go to My Garage and your name, where do you wheel, a profile photo, your zip code, what year did you start off-roading, what do you drive, off-roading style. You can put in your YouTube channel. And actually, when you do a trail review, you can link to your own YouTube video. That's really cool. You can upload photos as well, but if you've done a YouTube video, you can put it right in the review for other people to see. If you have an Instagram profile, Facebook profile, you can change your password, change your email address, reset your Gaia connection. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Opt in for newsletters, put in a little biography. Here's my first vehicle here. I've got our Jeep with our trailer on it, our lift size, our tire size, and I can put a description in here. I just haven't gone through and put a lot of data in there. But this will show when I do a trail review what vehicle I used so people can understand. If I said, oh, this thing was super easy, they're like, yeah, but your Jeep is really built. I think it's kind of cool to know what somebody did the trail in to understand, when they say it may be easier or harder. So that's your garage right there. And then Over here, we have the blog, and that's articles that they have that they post to their website for you to read. The trail map and states. So if I just go to the trail map, it should default to where I'm at, which is my basement, or my last position, I guess. Yeah, it's taking me to my last position I was at. If I click the little map icon up here, it should try and locate me all the way over here, back in town, and then I can start seeing what trails are in my area. State, if I know I'm going to go to a particular state, let's say I'm going to go to Arizona, it's going to tell me there's 395 trail guides, 383 all-access guides, 4,830 waypoints, 549 scout routes. There's a lot of cool stuff in Arizona. Some trail guide information here. We'll go over to scout routes. We can see those. Favorited trail guides. I think I've done a handful of these. It's pretty cool. Then we can explore the map. And we zoom into Arizona. We see how many, back out one more, we can see how many trails are in different areas here. So I'm just going to kind of keep moving in. And as we zoom in, we can see color-coded trail guides. Green are going to be easier. The orange is going to be the next level up. Then there's going to be red, and then there's going to be black. The solid lines are the ones that have complete trail guides, and we'll look at the difference in a little bit. And the dotted ones are scout routes. So there's basic information. They just don't have complete trail guides for those. So over on the left, we've got thumbnails, and the thumbnail gives you some basic information. That it's Beaver Creek, it's currently open, it's rated 4 out of 5 with 3 reviews, it's 11.5 miles long, and it's rated a 1-1. Down here we have one that's a seasonal closure, usually because of snow, things like that. Cedar Flat Road is partially open. So we get some good information just by browsing through the thumbnails. Now we can go up to the top, we can filter the trails. We can say we want the ones that are at least a moderate with the maximum being a difficult. That's going to narrow it down. We can come over to trail status, and I only want the ones that are open. Cool. And go over to experience. I want ones that have camping available. All right. Now we've got it really narrowed down to some different options that we have available. And then I can start going through. If I click on it, it'll tell me that's Senator Highway. I can go to the detail page, or I can add it to one of my lists. If I click on some of the areas out here, that's going to tell me that this is Cedar Bench Wilderness. It's run by the Forest Service, and it's the Verde Ranger District. So we'll come up here to this top section. Sycamore Canyon Wilderness, it's Forest Service, Chino Valley Ranger District. So we have some basic information about the different places around. And we'll go ahead and zoom in. When we're zoomed out, we don't see a lot of extra data, but when we zoom in, now we have all these gray and white dashes. Now these are actually like Forest Service roads. What we're looking at is the MVUM, the Motor Vehicle Usage Map. So it tells us those are available. They just haven't been scouted by anybody or created a trail guide. This is one thing that completely separates Trails Offroad from anything else out there. Every trail that they have in their system has been run by a human. That human has been trained by Trails Offroad to provide a consistent rating of the trails. If it's a 3 in Colorado, it's going to be a 3 in Michigan. If it's a 5 in Utah, it's going to be a 5 in Wyoming. They're going to feel the same. So that same level of difficulty is going to be very, very consistent across all the different trails because they're trained to know how to rate them, and every single trail is run by a human. There's no automatic data being put into here, so you're not going to get superfluous data or much inaccurate data. I mean, inaccurate data can happen because things can change. Trails can be closed by the Forest Service or whatever, or the BLM. Routes can change. Trail conditions can change. A lot of stuff can change without anybody knowing it. So yes, you may get somewhere and it may be way more difficult than what the last review said because things change and they change often. So it's only as good, any platform is only as good as the data that it can get. Trails Offroad, for me, has been the most consistently accurate data of any platform out there. So for me, that's why we use it. We know the trails have been run by a human. We know that they're going to be good, solid trails. Now, let's bounce into an actual trail here. So this red one looks fun. Smiley Rock. I've done Smiley Rock. That was a blast. Yeah, here's the thumbnail of it. It actually looks like a smiling face or a natural emoji. Let's click on that. Now we get some additional information about it. We can see the state trust land, the wilderness areas. There's 29 reviews. It rates it a 4.6 out of 5. It's near Jeremy, Arizona. Last update was the 6th of 24. We have some images here. There's a hero shot, the hardest part, and typical camping. So those are pretty cool that you're going to get. Then you have the trail summary, the most difficult part, and any optional parts. So sometimes these will be two different numbers. It can be a 5.6, it can be a 3.5, whatever. The first number, the mandatory, that's what you have to do to get through the trail. There's no bypasses from that. That's taking the easiest lines through the trail. The optional part is those are optional obstacles that can make it more difficult. So you'll see two ratings. Sometimes they're the same. Sometimes the second one is higher. You'll see a status, last reported June of 2024 that it was open. If it was a seasonal closure, that would reflect in here because that's public data. Distance is 8.61 miles. It's going to take about 2 hours. Do you need a permit? Yes. So you can click there and figure out how to get a permit for it. The highest elevation, 7,234 feet. The official trail names, so you get the Forest Service roads there. Verde Ranger District. Shape of canal of trail, it's a connector. So you'll see several different types of trails. You'll see a straight through, which means I can start at the beginning, and when I get to the end, I'm exiting out somewhere else. There's out and backs, so I have to go out and I have to come back the same way. A connector runs between two trails. So you have to take one trail to get to it. You have to take another trail to get out of it, or at least one way. You have to take a trail in or you have to take a trail out or both. It's open year round. Nearest services are in Cottonwood. Best direction is going south, and it's managed by Prescott National Forest. Underneath there, we have highlights of the trail. So it's in the altitudes. There's camping available. It's in the forest. There's mines, there's rocks, and snow wheeling. And then a small description of the area. Over on the right here, we have quick links to add trail review or see the existing reviews, jump to the waypoints, open an app. Now that's not relevant on a desktop. That is relevant on a mobile device. I click on that. It's going to open the Trails Offroad app on my mobile device. Upload to Gaia GPS. Now this is actually a very cool feature and we use this quite a bit. We can take that, we click on there and it takes all those waypoints in the route and it pushes them over into Gaia GPS. So I can use Gaia to do my live routing, although I can do it with the mobile apps now from Trails Offroad. But before that, if I wanted to make sure I was staying on a route, I could use Gaia for that. Now, what I still use it for is I may take a group of trails that are all in one area that maybe I want to do an overlanding trip, and I'll put those all into Gaia, string them together so I can calculate my mileage, which means I'm calculating how much fuel I'm going to use. So for me, I still use Trails Offroad in conjunction with Gaia. Now you can download the GPX file, which means you could put that into other tools. You could upload that into Gaia GPS. You can upload that into some devices. You could upload it into Onyx, other things. Now we can go directions to So we can say directions to the trailhead or the trail end. So if I click on that, it's going to open up either Google Maps or Apple Maps, and that's actually settable, and I can see what it's going to take for me to get there. I can share the trail, print the trail, or add it to a list. Again, we're going to get to the lists in a little bit. That's actually a brand new feature. Let's continue to scroll down here. We have the trail difficulty and assessment. So based on this, they're recommending a lightly modified 4x4 with a small lift and larger tires. There is pinstriping possibility there. And the entire trail is very rocky, with waypoints 11 and 12 being the hardest. A bigger lift will make it more comfortable. Then community consent. Well, while we're up here, we can look at technical rating, and it will take us through here and explain what the difficulty rating is. This is a 5.5. So what is it about the trail that makes us a 5.5? Community consensus. This is something I think is very cool, because on any trail, people can say that was spot on, it was easier than what you said, it was harder than what you said. And here, there's a number of votes here that say it's harder than what the review is. Now that's very possible because, again, weather, rain, water runoff, those can make a trail harder. So what Trails Offroad will do is they'll watch these, and if it is consistently harder than what their review is, then they'll send someone back out, do it again, and decide whether they need to change the review or not. Now we get down here, we can see the waypoints. There's 3 pictures for each waypoint with a little description. Most all of the standard routes have a trail video associated with them, so you can watch that. There's information about camping, so there's plenty of dispersed camping. Prime locations are waypoint 13 to 17, so that's cool information, and directions to the trailhead. Let's get back to the waypoints. So it's going to show us a couple up front. We can show all, and it's going to show 3 pictures from each waypoint. Now here you can see an FJ, which looks pretty stock going through this. So it's not that Smiley Rock is that difficult of a trail. It is just rocky, man. And which means with some of the, when you're talking bowling ball size rocks in a huge garden, you hit those too hard, there's a chance of breaking something. So for sure, it can be a difficult trail. So we can scroll through here, see them. Here's the trail reviews. Here's someone saying, this trail is getting more difficult. Used to be pretty easy trail, except for a minor boulder field. Now there are several and harder. Each season it ruts out more and more. Fun when you have a built Jeep, not so much the closer you get to stock. The trail needs to be re-rated both in rating and on issues on the trail. So this is the kind of information you can see by going in and reading the reviews, that things are harder than they used to be. It should be re-rated. Okay, so next I want to dig into lists. This is the newest feature. In fact, it's released to the public today, the same day that we're launching this video. And it is probably one of the biggest updates we've seen to Trails Offroad in a long time. And personally, one of the coolest, I think. So we've kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's go over here to our account. We'll click on lists, and we see the different lists that we have. And by default, we have our completed list. It creates that by itself. It creates a favorites and a bucket list. I don't have anything in the bucket list. I just have lists that I've created myself. Now again, let's dig into one of these. And I've put in an overview. This route will take you from Marble, Colorado, past Crystal Mill, and on the iconic trails including Taylor Pass, Pearl Pass. This is best run over 3 to 4 days. I have information about each of the trails and what I thought about it. And then over on the map, we can see what those trails are. And it's only going to show those trails unless I select show all guides, and then I can see everything. But for the purpose of this, I just want to show these, which also helps to illustrate how we kind of ran this. We started over here in Marble, went down through here, went up around here and back down. So it's a great way of planning out a larger trip, kind of a a multi-day trip or an overlanding trip, or just a large adventure, being able to group these trails together. So now let's look at building a list. I think this will start to make a little bit of sense to you here. So I'm going to create a new list, and I'm going to call this Gulches. Okay, so right now I don't have anything going on over here, but I'm going to show all the trails, and I'm going to head over to the Gulches area. Now, maybe I'm going to have a little trouble finding it, maybe not. I know where it is, so I can just scroll in here and find the Gulches. So what trails am I going to do in this Gulches area? Well, I'm going to start off with Cedar Mountain Road, and right here I can add it to the list. Boom. And because I have this list selected, it's going to drop me right in there. So I can come to the next one, Metberry Gulch, add that to the list, add Longwater, add Hackett, and now you have a couple other ones that are in the area here. Old Stage Road, Predator, and Sportsman Road. And I think if you're going to spend a couple days out there doing some trails, you might as well do all of these. So I'm going to actually include these on my Gulches list here. Excellent. Now I've got them all in order here. If I had put them in the wrong order, I can just grab one and move it to where I want it to go, and it will drop into place. So let's come back here to overview, and I'll edit the overview. All of the trails you should hit while in the Gulches area. Boom, right there. Now we've got a little bit of information there, and I can add notes to the trails here. I'll say this one. This is the easiest of the 3 main Gulches trails. So you can see how you could add information to it, make it more useful for yourself or to other people. Now, I can come up here and delete the list, share the list. If I have people who have commented on it, I will see those comments here, or any members that I have as part of this. Well, let's go back up to the top here, and I can share this list. So I can copy the link and send it to someone. I can post it to Facebook, share it to X, or share via email. Now, what this does is it sends an invite to the list. So if I copy this link or I share it to Facebook, say, hey, check out my Gulches list, they're going to click on it, and it's then going to request that I give them access to it. This prevents your list from being just blasted out to the world and anybody and everybody can see it, which you might be okay with, but maybe not. Right now, there's no public lists concept, but I've suggested that. We'll see if they add that in at some point. But if you send a link to the list, then they're going to click on it. It'll ask you to okay them for it, and then they can become a member of it. The other way is I can go over to members here, and I can just put in someone's email address. And what role they have, can they just view it? Can they edit it? So like Katarina, I can make her an editor of it if I want to, or other people, I can just add to it, and now they are a member, and they'll get an email saying that they are now have access to that list. They don't have to click on a list, come back, let me approve it, and then it goes back to them. This is, I can just add someone via email. So pretty straightforward in how this works. And of course, I could come in here and remove that member pretty easily. So let's go back to the lists, and we see our Gulches right there. pretty darn cool. I like this a lot. Now, let's move over to mobile devices. We'll start on the phone. And I can come down here and go to lists. And right there's my Gulches list. Gives me some tips on what I can do with it. I can share it. There's my notes on it. Now, if I've been creating the list on here, which is exactly the same way on the web version, but I want to reorder it, I can't just hold down on this and move it. If I hold down on it, I can edit the note, delete the note, or remove the trail. If I want to reorder it, I come up to the top and go to Edit. Now, here's Remove or Reorder Trails, and at this point, I can move them around. So, a little bit different in how that works on a mobile device. Now, if we want to take a look at it on an iPad, we can do that as well. As I've mentioned, we use both devices when we're in a vehicle. We'll have the phone up for the driver. We have the iPad up and running for the passenger. Okay, again, I go down to the bottom. I go to lists. There's my list. I can create a new list here, give it a name. Same thing as the rest of them. Pretty straightforward here. Let's go into Nevada Overland. Feels a little bit different when you're running it on a tablet versus on the phone, which I kind of like. It takes advantage of how it works on an iPad or other tablet, Android as well. But same type of thing. I want to edit it. I can remove or reorder them. I can just grab it and move it around. So that is the new lists feature. I hope you like it, and I hope you find it as useful as I do, because I think it's really cool, and I'm sure Trails Offroad would love to hear your feedback on it. Okay, let's move over to the mobile apps, because I think that's where things get really, really cool. Okay, so first off, I'm going to show you our setup that we have here. On the passenger side, we have an old iPad Pro running Trails Offroad. I have my iPhone 16 up here running Trails Offroad. And on the Uconnect screen, you see we have Trails Offroad. So we have 3 different devices here that we can work with. And we use all 3 of them in conjunction. We have no cell signal. We're in SOS mode up here. So everything that you're going to see is running offline. So I'm going to open up Trails Offroad there. It shows our position on the map. Tap on it. Tap on Trails. It shows Rock Creek. This is where we're at. And this is a trail I've never done before. And I specifically picked this one because I've never done it, so I don't know what to expect on it. I'm going to tap on that. I see all the waypoints along the way. I can adjust the map, tap on it. I can change the orientation to how I'm driving, being up. I can zoom in, zoom out, all that good stuff. I see the waypoints along the way, and let me tap on it here and click on waypoints. I see the trailhead, camping, things like that. You don't get a ton of information on the screen, but that's a limitation from Apple as to how much data they can show. So I'll normally just keep the Uconnect screen up in a more zoomed out fashion so I can see what's coming up. For the driver, we have the iPhone, and I'm going to tap on the trail here. And I see Rock Creek. Now I'm going to go ahead and switch over to screen recording so you have a better view of this. Okay, so we've got the trail here. I can zoom in on it, and I'm going to just click on Well, let's show you the data that you can get. The difficulty level, it's a 12 mandatory, a 3 optional. It's currently open as of reported a little while ago, like 2 months ago. 3.47 miles, should take an hour to go in. Max elevation, 10,679. It's an out and back, open year round. You know, some basic information, go through. Now, I can't get trail video and stuff because I'm offline, but I see the different waypoints here, and I'm gonna go ahead and go to navigation options and start follow mode. Now, I see the waypoints down on the bottom. I can scroll through them. Now this one, I'll keep more zoomed in because this is for the driver's side. So I know what's going on. I know what's immediately ahead of us. Now let's switch over to the iPad. This is for the passenger side, and that just helps the passenger be able to navigate, tell me what's going on, looking for waypoints. We'll zoom in here. We can see the trail. Again, I'm going to switch over to screen recording so we have a better view of this. Okay, I can zoom in, tap on it, go to my navigation options, start follow mode. And now we have a nice view of the whole trail, more waypoint information. Again, I can click on these, get additional information. So it's up on this is the trailhead, taking a right onto 116.1 will take you to St. Vrain Mountain trailhead, but what we want to do, this is how I'm situated right now. I'm going to make a left here, and I can scroll ahead, see the different waypoints along the way. And for the passenger, this is really handy to tell me, oh, hey, we want to stop somewhere, we want to check this out, and it's some point of interest or what's going on. So the driver on the iPhone side doesn't have to really pay much attention to it. I can just glance up and see what's going on. So now we'll get going on the trail, and I'll show you how Trails Offroad works while we're actually in motion. So you can see as we're turned around and heading back to the trailhead, the map stays updated. Pretty darn cool. And then on the Uconnect screen, we get the same thing. So you can see how we use the iPhone, the iPad, and the Uconnect screen all together and at the same time for slightly different purposes. So that is Trails Offroad. It is our favorite off-road navigation app. I think if you try it, you will see the same thing. I know that there's other tools out there, and I'm not going to mention names, but there's some very popular ones that have really bad information. They have inaccurate information. It has caused me tons of grief in the past, where Trails Offroad has the best information available. Another good tool here in Colorado is Cotrex, C-O-T-R-E-X. That's public information. That can be helpful as well. And then these combined with Gaia GPS make for a very all-around solution that I think, personally, cannot be beat. So if you're interested in trying out Trails Offroad, go to trailsoffroad.com. If you want a discount, 25% off your first year, there's a link down in the description, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. Unless you're watching this on your phone, that might be a little difficult, but check it out in the description, or, try it, see if you like it. And if you do like it, let me know. I'd be happy to hear your feedback. And if you think this is the right, app for you. I think for us, it allows us to know what we're getting into from a human curated point of view. There's no guesswork involved. There's no inaccurate information. Every trail being run by a human means we're getting absolutely accurate information, as well as trail reviews and sometimes very updated trail status, which I think is super cool. Thanks for watching, everybody. From Carrie, from Katerina, myself, stay safe out there and don't get lost with Trails Off-Road. And we'll see you on the trails.